In a world where we're often too quick to judge on appearances, focus on ourselves, or find ourselves in a rush, this show is a reminder to slow down. Taste Exchange is a project that goes beyond the meals and happy hours and connects with the thoughtful human creators behind each experience. Lo and I will sit down and try and uncover what it is that connects all of us to the story of a life. Each of us is distinctly unique, yet we are all very connected. This is Taste Exchange. Welcome to our show.
Almost nothing is more essential than food. It nourishes us and keeps us alive. Like food, human connection is essential to our health and well-being. And there's something special about breaking bread with others, connecting over a meal. In this special series, we bring you thoughtful taste creators while discussing topics like intentionality, kindness, creativity, hope, and more. Nourishing our bodies and our minds. This is the essence of Taste Exchange. So pull up a chair, there's always room.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Aaron.
Welcome to our show. So we know the show is called Taste Exchange, and the reason we named it that is because taste is a small bite of food. The food is not really the focal point in these conversations. It's more about the exchange, this exchange of ideas, the exchange of stories, the exchange of the connection, of community, and that is what is so important to both of us to share with you guys to help us all learn and grow. Our process for this season, we've worked on a lot of different projects before, but we've never done anything as ambitious as this. So what you guys may not realize is it's literally just us two finding people to interview, which that part has been very easy actually, and then conducting the interviews, setting them up, and we've been interviewing and releasing content at the same time.
Yeah, I think had we really thought it through, we would have collected all the content first and then gave ourselves enough time to review the content. But I think one of the things that we did is that we set a date. So we set a date, this is the day we're gonna launch, when we probably were only 3 scheduled interviews at that time.
We had 3 recorded.
Yeah, well, so it's we really didn't fully understand what this undertaking was going to be like, but I think it also kind of lit a fire under us to ensure that we would keep pushing forward. So that's sometimes too, you'd have to set a date, set a target.
Absolutely, just go for it.
And go for it, and then that way you actually get the thing done versus trying to get everything scheduled in a way. But had we had an opportunity to kind of reevaluate it, with the time commitment, I'm sure there's some things that we would have done differently, but we've really, I think, enjoyed the process of how things have gone so far.
So once we get all of the pieces together, then we have the final product, which we release to air. And I think one of the lessons that we've learned is it's so much easier collaborating with ooh, I'm struggling with this, or what do you think about that? And at the end of the day, those collaboration points have made it so much better. And when we look at every episode, we probably watch each episode minimum 5 times each, if not more.
Right.
And so we're always thinking, okay, what can we do better? What could be different here? How could we improve?
So for each episode, between the interview, the editing, marketing, it takes about 20 hours total to get it ready to go on.
Yeah, for both of us.
Yeah.
Hashtag worth it.
Yeah. Completely worth it. Absolutely. The experience of doing this has been a gift.
We're so grateful for how open everyone was and sharing their stories with us and their vulnerabilities and the lessons that they've learned in life, and hopes that that can help someone else or inspire someone else.
And this is the reason we did it, because for us it's important to be able to tell stories out in the community to help people understand that the struggle that we all face as humans is a struggle that we all are dealing with. And so having your stories and the different ways that you've overcome many things in your lives, it's great because it kind of helps us with what's really important to us is be able to be out in the community to help people understand that you can overcome anything. And here are some examples of people that have done it, people that look like you out in the community. And I think that's also important for people to kind of see representation and understand that if someone that looks like them can overcome these things, that anything is possible. And that's what you guys helped us do and what's important to us. So.
And I love the shared, many similar shared experiences between people. And, some stories were different and others were very similar. So yeah, it's like a really beautiful blend of showing how we're all unique, yet we're all very connected.
My name's Lauren Dees. I'm the Executive Director of Charlotte Wine and Food. I've been in this role for just over 3 years. And Charlotte Wine and Food is a 33-year-old organization founded in 1989 by a group of local wine connoisseurs who were really just looking for other passionate people like themselves to explore wine with. And this is about the time where Napa Valley is really starting to take off. I think one of the special things about Charlotte Wine and Food is the way we do build community. So we say we're about wine, food, fun, and fundraising. We are connoisseurs for a cause, but we really are the network, the community we build, the people I've met, and the spirit of the people I've met who are coming together to do good across multiple industries. So for me, it makes me proud to be a Charlottean. Yeah, I just think the connections that people make through our events, whether it's charity partners or just human connections, are really important. And that's what Food and Wine does. It brings people together. So for me, that really is the magic. And when there's tons of wine and food dinners in town, right? We like to think that ours have a little extra special ingredient, and that's the charitable mission. And I think that most people that tend to come to our events are pretty highly passionate about food and wine. And so the experience just elevates because of that kinetic energy and connection of the people that come together.
I joined the board in 2016, I think primarily because I kept showing up and buying wine and they couldn't get rid of me. So they made it official. And then in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, I took over as chairman of the board and have been working closely with Lauren and our staff to sort of shepherd the ship through the pandemic and get back to hosting events and impacting our charities. The easiest thing is just being aligned on the mission. No egos, focused on the mission of Charlotte Wine and Food. It is pretty fun also. I like to say my job's pretty easy. We bring together elite winemakers, pair them with a variety of culinary experiences in Charlotte, and it's all for a good cause. So my favorite moment every year is when we get together with our charities and present a large check of the money we've been able to raise for them. So originally Charlotte Wine and Food was every other year, and then they pivoted to doing one event every year. That grew into a week of events every year. It's been fun over the past 5 years to watch the organization grow, where we're effectively hosting events year-round with our sort of preeminent focus on our Charlotte Wine and Food Week in the
For me, if I'm bragging on Palmer a little bit, is I think we have a responsibility to keep the legacy of Charlotte Wine and Food alive, and I think we're doing that, and keeping the fine wine element out there. But I think Palmer has a very progressive view, and we together have been putting some events on that are a little bit more relaxed, a little more casual, and looking to sort of evolve with Charlotte. Charlotte's getting younger and bigger, and so we're trying to, try some new things, and we've been doing it, and a lot of those events are well received and are working, and so it's nice to have someone that says, just do it. And there's no judgment if it doesn't work, but we try it. And fortunately, most of our risk takings have paid off and have been well received.
Our guests, vintners, and chefs all align to the charitable mission. What I really like about our 4 charities that we're supporting currently is we support the most at-risk children in our communities from cradle to college. So one of our charities is supporting and impacting children in our community throughout that journey.
So Charlotte Wine and Food is a 501c3 nonprofit. We raise funds for our charities through our charity partners through our wine and food experiences. So they are chosen every couple of years through a grant selection process, and they stay on with us a minimum of 2 and a maximum of 4 years. And then distributions are made annually at the end of our fiscal, so every June.
So one of the charities we support is Gen 1, which helps first generation high performing middle school and high school students navigate the path to college. I find that particularly compelling because it's generational family change, not just the immediate impact to support the child. And it's been really fun watching them grow. They started with seed money from like a charity startup competition, and now have sent over 40 first generation students to college with over $1 million in scholarship funds this year alone. So they have kids going to Harvard, Emory, as well as our excellent local schools as well. So it's nice to see their impact.
Mitchell's Fund was started by Meg McElwain when she lost her son at 2 years old to a terminal illness. And she started Mitchell's Fund with the idea of helping families deal with the trauma of that diagnosis and the mental ramifications not only on the children but also on the parents of dealing with that. And so the funds from Charlotte Wine and Food go to fund a play therapist at Novant Hemby Children's Hospital that helps them through games and art just understand how to deal with the emotions that they're experiencing through this illness.
The Relatives is another organization we're pleased to partner with, and many folks are familiar with them in the Charlotte community. I would describe the Relatives as a safe haven for children and families fleeing tough, often violent or predatory situations. They get their name from some of their first classes students would say, "Oh, where are you staying?" "Oh, we're with we're with Relatives." And so that's another charity that's grown tremendously over the years and provide a wide variety of services, not just shelter to children.
The Learning Collaborative is a tuition-free preschool in the Greer Heights community for low-income families. So really doing that early childhood education. And the reason it's called the Learning Collaborative is because they really ask the parents to take an active role in that education. And so they serve 72 students a year. I'm just excited to, keep getting incredible people here to Charlotte from the wine world and show off our wonderful culinary prowess that's happening at the moment.
Excited about a top secret event that we can't tell you about. we can't tell you about it yet, but because it's contingent upon availability coming out of COVID. Otherwise, we could give you a sneak peek. But very excited about that, and hopefully more to come. We'll let you know. And for those who do want to join in person now or in the future, regardless of your experience in wine, we'd encourage you to join. We have something for everyone, and would welcome you to be a part of any of our events.
And I think the best way to learn about our events is through signing up for our emails or following us on social media. We do Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
To connoisseurs for calls.
Cheers.
Cheers. So what are we doing?
To Taste Exchange.
To Taste Exchange. Oh, great.
Follow Aaron.
Wonderful.
A really fun thing for us was just going through each episode and thinking about some of our favorite moments and takeaways, and we're gonna share them with you now. We're gonna start with Bob. He was our first episode. We know he's won some incredible awards. He's an incredible human being, but we loved his commitment to each guest and making sure that each guest has an amazing experience.
And for Will, I think it really, for us, it was like his joy and excitement for life, and and the fact that he can't make rice. So that was fantastic, because that story just came out of nowhere, and it was not what we were expecting, which exactly was how it was with Will. Like we didn't know what to expect, but like we left buzzing with joy.
For Larissa, we loved her creativity, her use of music and friendship to get out of a rut and just continue her trajectory, and her quote of everything is temporary.
So for James, it was definitely like his stories that he would tell, like the Titanic story, and his sense of wonderment. He had us laughing a lot, and his food was exceptional.
For Wit, it's her resilience, her work ethic, and her execution. We just loved chatting with her and super excited for her new adventure.
So for Sam Hart, it was creating experience through intentionality, creativity, and insane timing.
For Jasmine, it was her laugh. Oh my gosh, she has the best laugh. And also the way that she brings people together, creating that sense of community is just so innate in her.
So for Sam Diminich, it was definitely his humility and his commitment to his communities, the farms and Ben's friends.
For Justin, it was his quote, raise your vibration, and also his idea about purpose, passion, plan. Loved that.
For Courtney, it was his passion in life to make people smile, and you could definitely tell that that was authentically who he was as a person.
And for Shay, it's how she's so intentionally creative about every moment, from the clothes she wears to how she sprinkles her salt. And we also just want to say it was so hard to put this list together. Like literally we're like, oh, what about this? What about this? We're like, okay, we need to like less than 10 seconds, highlight each person.
And if I'd have had it my way, then you guys would have been able to say all this in your own voices, and the episode would have been about 3.5, 4 hours long.
Or yeah, it would have been like putting all the episodes together. So just go watch the episodes. They're great.
One of the questions we get all the time is, you guys are tasting this food, and it seems like every single time you're tasting it, it's the best food ever, and it is fantastic.
Legit. Like we actually have not had one bad meal or one bad drink. Like everything has been phenomenal. And we go out to other places to eat, and that's not the case. Like we just have talked to some incredibly talented individuals, and we're so grateful for them and for all the love and the care and intentionality they put into their experience, not just for us, but for people every single day.
Yeah, it's all been exceptional.
My name is Hannah Neville, and I started Honeybear Bake Shop in July after being furloughed from being the pastry chef at the Ritz-Carlton. So when I was first furloughed, I thankfully had a boss who was very transparent about what was going to happen. And he said, hey, you know, this is about to go down. We're probably gonna furlough people, we hope not. But I actually applied to be a shipped grocery deliver person. So I got that job actually right away and started into that when I was furloughed. And then I was actually like experimenting in the kitchen and having fun again, because you know, when you're a head pastry chef or anywhere, like a head boss, you're not actually doing what you're doing. You're like behind the computer or doing computer work or all these activities. So I started baking at home again, and I first started the sourdough. I failed at that. And then I started baking cookies again, and I was like, you know, I'm really liking this. And I started looking at different cookie Instagrams around, you know, the United States. And I was like, you know, this is really cool. And I always try to go back to it and think how I actually thought of like, okay, I want to open my own business, but I've always wanted to, and I've always talked about it, and I don't know what it was, but one day I was just like, you know, I'm going to do this. And it was a lot of conversations with my husband, my family, my friends. And then finally one day, the Ritz-Carlton actually had a program where if you left, they would give you a little bit of a stipend. And then I was like, okay, you know, this is, I think, a sign of, oh, I'm gonna take this little bit and invest it into myself. But I started in my 1-bedroom apartment, just like Sam. Like when we met, we were both like, oh, we had the very same experience. And it just blew up, and it got to a point where one night my husband came back from a video shoot, and I literally had like kitchen towels like all over our 1-bedroom apartment, like on the couch, like laid out on the couch, and just cookies everywhere. And he's like, all right, we need you to find somewhere for you to go because I have nowhere to sit. Okay, so Honeybear Bake Shop is an online cookie boutique where I do pickups on Fridays. Every Sunday, I announce my cookie flavors for the week. They change every week. And then I also do a specialty themed box of the week. So for example, this week is Pop-Tarts. My last one I did was like a Friends box, Easter box. So I always try to incorporate something cool. Ordering is open Sunday through Thursday for pickup on Friday. And then, as I mentioned, I do way too many events on the weekends and just don't ever stop. It's always way too much, but you make it through.
What kind of events do you do?
So I do a lot of pop-up events at breweries, coffee shops. I'm actually really excited. I'm doing the Girl Tribe event in a week. I got accepted into the Matthews Farmers Market, so I'm going to be doing that every other Saturday now. Yeah, so I always wanted to be a pastry chef. I mean, it's funny, my mom actually, back in the day, sold cookies on eBay. Can you believe that? I didn't even know that was a thing. Yeah, so she would sell cookies on eBay and ship them out. And
Did you ever cook with her when you were young?
I think it was me more being stubborn, playing around in her kitchen, trying. Yes, I'm sure I did, but I would trash her kitchen. And she will tell you, like, if she was right beside me, she would be like, it was a disaster. But now I'm clean. So anyway, always wanted to be a pastry chef, went straight to culinary school. I went to the Culinary Institute of America. And after that, a lot of my experience is in fine dining. So I worked at the Inn of Little Washington there. I moved out to Colorado. I lived in Vail, Colorado for 3 years. And just had like assistant pastry chef jobs. And a lot of it was working at night in the restaurant. So like plating desserts, working on dessert specials. And then after I left Colorado, that's when I moved and got the pastry chef position at 5 Church. So I was a pastry chef there for about 1.5 years, same things, plated desserts, dinner service, and then moved to Big View Diner, and that's where I learned my favorite thing, cakes. When you do a plated dessert, I mean, you guys have worked with awesome chefs, like you have to have so many different elements in your plate, whether if it's hot food or a dessert, you have to have a smooth element, a crunch, a sweet, a salty, a sour. So it's like, I think it's really cool that I now take that knowledge of being a pastry chef and my experience, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put all this into a cookie. You know, so it's like, oh, does this one need a filling? Does it need an icing? Does it need a glaze? Should it be crunchy? And so I take all those things in consideration, and I actually do way too much. Like one cookie has like 5 different things that go into it. I will definitely say I have my own style, and that's something that I really like. And that's another thing. I always revert back to this woman that I worked with who said, you know, do something that you don't like. And that's another thing she told me, is work under so many different people. So that way, when you become your own, you have like, I learned this from this person, I learned this from this person, I learned this from this person. And I think finally where I am right now in my career, I have who I am, my brand, what I do. And I think that I'm finally confident in that, Where before, when I first started, I would be like, oh, hey, I'm doing this special, I'm timid, or I don't know how I feel about this. And I think I've gained a lot more confidence by knowing and reading and learning a lot of knowledge and just finally having my own brand and who I am. So this one is strawberry Pop-Tart. That one's half baked. So that's like the Ben & Jerry's ice cream, which is half chocolate chip cookie with brownies, half brownie with cookie dough.
This is the one we had, 'cause that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oatmeal cream pie, salted caramel brownie, corn and pimento cheese, brown sugar Pop-Tart. Yes, yes, that one's so good.
Oh my God.
I'm over here, I'm like, no pressure, I'm right beside you. That one's my absolute favorite.
I mean, really? That's crazy.
Isn't that good? That's what I'm saying. People are like, it's so weird, corn and pimento cheese and a cookie. I'm like, just try it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Thank you.
I would not expect it to taste like that.
No.
It looks like extra care went into those. Is the process for the gluten-free a little different process?
You pray love upon them so that the taste as well.
Looks like it.
This, which one is this?
Milk and cookies. Yes. Another half and half.
It's so good.
Thank you. Does it taste gluten-free? That's the thing, that's what I try to do. I'm like, I want to try to make gluten-free cookies that aren't like, ugh, this is gluten-free. Do you ever have that where you're like trying gluten-free things and you're like, this sucks?
Tell us about it. Tell us what it is. It sounds like you got it.
It's just so yummy. I want to keep eating it.
You may or may not know that music is super important to both of us, and it also became a very important part of the show.
Yeah, so the first episode, I had the same song basically playing in repeat for all of Bob's episode, and it just basically transitioned from the same song to the same song. And so when I sent it to Bob, he's like, the episode's good, but this music is like kind of weird. So we kind of went back and retooled and really analyzed it. And from that point forward, music became like so important to everything that we did in every episode. So we really took a listen for each tone, and we go out and like grab music together and separately and kind of place those in there so that each episode had its own like soundtrack to it as well.
And shout out to Bob. Thank you for saving us and making us better. You love music as much as we do. We are going to be releasing a new project later this year with a focus around music. You can learn more here. Follow us, do the things, and more details will be coming soon.
Like you said, we met 18 years ago? Yeah?
No, I think we met 20 years ago.
No.
21 years ago, actually. It was 2000. No, it was 2001. 20 years ago.
So this is the anniversary.
We got married 18 years ago.
That we met.
Okay. That we met.
Been married 18 years soon, May 3rd.
James is such a romantic like that. He remembers
Just so
all the
romantic.
days. But we both see different things, so that's nice. Like, he's probably more the aesthetic genius, and I don't know, I guess I'm a little better with numbers, but he hates when I say that because he's getting good too. It's you can learn that stuff. I can't read the aesthetic stuff. I'm not picking up on as much. I leave that to him.
I had just been like down the rabbit hole reading about like coffee statistics, and I'd read that like only 50% of Americans drink coffee. I don't know if that's a statistic, but something I read made me realize there's a lot of people that don't drink coffee. So I was like, well, it's not just going to be coffee. And so originally it was the Not Just Coffee shop. It came out as a joke, and then someone was like, oh yeah, that's great, and then we kind of modified it. And
it was kind of like coffee and community, because it's supposed to mean more than maybe just what it sounds like, right? Because it's also
Because we do have tea, but that's not, the point was like...
But it was more like the experience and the community, but we do have tea. Yeah. And now avocado toast and parfaits and...
Both of us were born and raised abroad, so I think it was kind of natural for us. Like, I came to the States for the first time when I was 14, 15, so like it was all, like I felt like a foreigner moving to the States, and actually Charlotte was the first city I came to. I could not understand the Southern accent for the life of me, and I was just mortified.
I grew up mostly in Mexico and Central America. My parents were kind of hippie nomads based out of Southern California, I was born in Querétaro, and several of my siblings were born in different cities in Mexico, and also lived in Guatemala and Honduras and stuff. Yeah, at the time I hadn't heard his name in a lot of years, so I think it was kind of a one-off.
Yeah,
that was cool. Show.
Yeah, I guess before we got married, we decided to travel together. We went to West Africa, lived in Ghana for 6 months. That was incredible. Destiny had her 7th birthday there.
Had some friends that worked with an orphanage there, so we did some Italy and for a few years, and then ended up back here in
I guess we were in Europe for about 4 years total between Romania and Italy. And then we kind of unexpectedly moved back. We weren't planning on moving to Charlotte, but some things changed with our visa situation in Italy, and we decided to move back, and it was right in 2009 when shit had hit the fan, and it was an interesting time to move to Charlotte, but we didn't really have anything else on our plate in terms of like we didn't have careers we were moving back to or anything, so it was like, we were broke and like, all right, well, what are we gonna do? And finding a job was not the easiest thing when we first moved back, but we had the idea of opening a coffee shop from our time in Italy, like a bunch of them. Like, I mean, I've always been, very interested in food and beverage, and we have a friend, mutual friend, but he said when he knew me when I was 17, I was always talking about opening a coffee shop. When he found out years later that we opened one, and that was kind of surprising because I don't really remember that, but I was like, that's pretty cool. So to get to do that from a teenage dream. Yeah, I definitely grew up with like hospitality and making people feel comfortable is like a huge part of Japanese culture. Yeah. As I grew up, it's like a pretty integral part to my personality.
Yeah.
We opened bootstrapped Area 15. And it was really like there were a lot of people involved with making that get off the ground, because we knew nothing about opening a business. We knew nothing about. I mean, I look now at like what it takes for us to open a location, and going through that like essentially blind. You're just like, I don't know what we're doing. We're just
probably best that we didn't, because we joke now like if we would have known what we were getting into, like
if we had actually put it on paper, we probably would have been like,
wouldn't have at least not tried to do it at the time.
Yeah, it's funny now you hear like people who are established. Business people, I guess, you always hear like write a business plan and all this stuff. I mean, we never did that, and it's like, so there's probably like an ideal way to start a business, right? But then at the same time, it's like if you're going to start a business and the choice is like don't start it or go ahead and do it, it's like if you're going to give it a shot.
Nobody told us that we couldn't, and so we just kept doing whatever the next step was until it was, and then.
But now, so we went through some rough patches, and at one point I told Myrick, I was like, I think we should just shut it down, but she definitely helped, keep that going. She was like, well, let's wait till fall. And then we got approached by the then director of 7th Street Public Market, which was just a new thing. It hadn't opened yet. And they asked us if we wanted to join. So on my lunch break from work, I went in to tour the space. It was just an empty room. And within a minute of walking into the space, I was like, yes, this is our chance to do this full time. And so that same day, I told my boss, gave my notice. And
I don't know, I joke that any other day, if he would have said, let's shut it down, I would have been like, let's shut it down. But for some reason that day, it was not the day. And I could tell he was just resigning himself. It wasn't really what his heart wanted to do. And it didn't sit well in me either when he actually said that. So then I was like, no, okay, we're still able to pay all our bills. We're still floating the coffee shop. Like, let's not pull the plug yet.
Yeah.
And then
unfortunately we kept trucking along,
because we were in a month-to-month lease. Like we were literally talking like, let's just tell them we're not paying our rent next month. Like it would have been that easy, which is not the case in any of our leases now. So
it was incredible. And Charlotte was a very different city 10 years ago, so there just weren't a lot of places where people could come and be in a space. And I think 7th Street Market was unique in that way too. It was like one of the only public, like truly public spaces that you could just come in. It was indoors, you could hang out, and really it was.
And it wasn't just us there, so a lot of other amazing vendors.
In the beginning,
and small
it was just
businesses.
us. It felt like.
Well, yeah, that's true. One afternoon, he was like it literally felt like in my mind there was this tumbleweed blowing through the market. Like it was empty, and there were no other vendors in there. I think there were maybe a couple of vendors, but who had already left for the day. Like, because if it was slow, they just maybe close up. And I was like, James, why don't you just come home? Like, I'll cook dinner. You can eat with the kids. And he thought about it. I could see it in his eye because no one had been in for like 2 hours, and he's like, no, but what if that one customer comes for the first time and we're not open? Oh, that's how much passion he had. And I had to respect that. I was like, okay, you're right.
Yeah, that's a piece of advice I give. It would have to be like, hell would have to be freezing over to close early. Like, I think that's like something that's too easy to get caught up when you're self-employed. It's like, oh, I have all this flexibility. But if you're a retail space, you really don't have that flexibility, because if that person came across town, you know, and I had a lot of customers that would drive from 30 or 40 minutes away, and if they came and like I was closed, that would really be, you know.
Packard, which was the third one in 2016, was when I started not taking any new clients. I actually worked in occupational therapy. My youngest sister was born with Down syndrome, so I'm one of 8. James is one of 10. But that's how I ended up.
Yes, after that, we opened Dilworth, our Park Road location. That would have been 2017.
Technically Tabor first.
Oh yeah, Tabor.
And our staff is amazing. They come up with ideas, and they have so much synergy. And when you care about your staff, they care about the customers.
We're with Undercurrent and starting a whole new business, Night Swim Coffee.
Roasting.
So we're going to be roasting coffee and opening new cafes under a new brand. So it's pretty exciting. Got a lot of growth ahead of us, I think.
And then one time our older son, or a few times, but I remember one time in particular where he told me he was really proud of us for building what we built from the ground up, and like, you know, like, you and Dad really kind of, you know, came from not much, and you built this thing. It's pretty incredible.
When we reopened our spaces, it was amazing, like this response, like this visceral response from people coming back in and being like, oh my God, it feels so good to sit in a coffee shop again.
Yeah.
You know, because we're all social animals, and I think it's so important for us to be, especially living in a city, like to be interacting and mingling and all these things that make a city what it is. It gives the city the vibrancy and the energy.
Do you ever play with your food?
Yes,
well, I guess you're playing all the time. You're like creating. That's my worst question ever.
Yeah, man. That's what
yeah, man.
That's what my mom would say. I'm not that good at it.
You're probably about this. Just this.
Just the entire time, just bunny rabbit.
Just come closer to the table. Just come
sell out to the bunny rabbit the entire time.
To your turn. Okay.
What's all right, y'all, I just want you to see, as we're sitting here, this is Aaron in the back. It's tight, and no, it looks great from where y'all are sitting. Hey, Aaron, thanks, buddy. You're doing great.
Doing my best. Did his best.
That's awesome, Aaron. I like how serious you got. What was that?
Yeah, you dropped his eyebrows.
And first and foremost, I almost fell right here.
I'll make you serious.
You should have just gone with it. That would have been amazing.
We have more interviews. If it was like the only interview, then maybe.
So if you can just say like whatever the name is, and like that's available now.
Got it.
Right now.
I can say that right now. 3, 2, 1. I don't know why I counted that. Why did I count that?
We're gonna use that. Wait.
Perfect.
Don't miss the straw. Don't miss the straw this time.
Whatever. Get your straw game out of here. Take your straw game and go home.
But it wasn't until
Trust me.
This is how she's good. This is the era. This is an area where she's way more exceptional than I am. This is why teamwork is so important. Because while I should be thinking shorter, you would be doing things much longer.
Okay. Am I? Okay, I'm good, right?
Isn't that what Michael Jackson does?
I don't know.
Isn't that the Michael Jackson thing? When he's like,
oh, isn't it is it this?
It's like something. And just like his sense of humor was something that we really enjoyed watching his episode. Or, goodness gracious, Aaron.
Interviewing him.
Yes, watching his episodes. I mean,
we were there.
We were there.
I'm Lo.
And I'm Aaron.
Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our show. Yeah, you literally just said, I'm Lo and I'm Aaron. And then together we say, welcome to our show.
All right.
Like you normally do in the intro.
Yes.
They'll put a biscuit like in between, like Aaron T with a biscuit like right in between there. Atkinson.
This is your legacy.
This is my legacy.
Oh my goodness.
My legacy. Old Grandpapa Biscuit.
What? Grandpapa Biscuit?
You should hear the names that he comes up with. Like, we still, like, oh my god.
Grandpapa Biscuit. Grandpapa Biscuit. That is now your nickname, I think. I'm pretty sure. Aaron.
In your phone.
Yeah.
Aaron Grandpapa Biscuit.
Grandpapa 100%. I can't take it back.
We need to make this.
Here's the happy, right?
Yeah.
Are we choosing water?
Yeah, we're choosing water. It's okay.
We'll hit the hard stuff later. I got him. I almost got him. That was almost a real spit take.
I wish you would have.
And that would have been really good. I would have just shattered my glass on the floor and been like, yeah! Ripped off my microphone and walked out the door. Y'all clean it up.
Like I'm at the tippy top of my game, looking down at the rafters. I had to son these boys, can't leave them bastards. A lot of dudes, just some undercover actors. I don't fall for it, I'm privy to all your tactics. Yeah, so try again, this time take a vitamin. Yeah, invite them in, welcome to the lion's den. And I'm Mufasa, big boss in charge of coming in like a bull. You see me raising the stock up,
And
that's a wrap.